So to take the offset tool from the AutoCAD, to invoke it, so we have different options. So one of the option is from the, we go at the modify menu over here, so you can find this offset tool over here. So click on the offset tool and it will prompt you to specify the offset distance, and the command will be invoked. Apart from that, in the toolbar also you can take the offset tool from this symbol. You can click on the symbol, the offset tool will be displayed. And similarly from the draw menu, you can have the offset tool, and the offset tool will be selected. Not the draw menu, in fact you have to go to the modify menu. So in the modify menu, you can see the offset tool and it will be invoked. So and in the command you have to click and type O for the offset, and the offset tool will be invoked. So now I use the command prompt. So it talks about the offset distance. Now offset distance is the distance in which it will be offsetted. Let's take an offset distance of 0.5, let's say, and select this line. So if I click on this line and click on a point in the left or right, an object will be offsetted. Now you can see an object will be offsetted. Select this object and the object will be offsetted. The line is offsetting at this point. So you can create multiple lines. So at any moment of time, if you want to change the distance, press enter, invoke the offset tool once again, and create the distance, the 3 units, and then you can have the distance changed. You cannot change in between, in fact. So you have to exit from the tool and press escape to exit the tool, and then you can invoke the command. I'm invoking it now from the toolbar, in fact. So invoking it from here. So you have this distance. So I have a distance of let's say 5 units, and I want to select this object and I want to offset it at this point. So here it has a tremendous application in civil engineering drafting, or civil drafting, or an architectural drafting that we'll be doing again. Now let's see how the circle behaves in the offsetting option. So O is the tool that you can type in the command prompt, and here we have. Now offset distance is, let's say I take it as 2 units. So select the object, you can create the circle outside, or select the object, create the circle inside. You can keep on creating till the time it gets created, right? So you have got all the concentric circle. So at any moment of time, press O. If you want to change the distance, let's say you want to have a 1 unit offset, now you can select the object. So it is very random. You need not, if you are selecting different objects, you can do it at a go. So you need not have to go with the command, but change the command. But if you are going to change the distance, then I would it is required that you have to exit, like E for exit here, the tool, and then go offset again, and then change the distance, let's take to 2 units, and do it again. Okay, so this is how the offset tools work. So I go with an undo. In the first session I've talked about undoing it, so I undo all the offsets and bring it to the normal position. Right, now let's take another options in offset. So there's a through option. Through means wherever you want. So let's say I go for through and select the object. Hover my mouse anywhere, it will be through. The offset can be done anywhere I want. So click on the object, click where you want to do the offset, so it will be done. Here we are, the polyline, so it can be through. Now there is another interesting option over here. So you can go the undo way, and right, because one tool has been used, command has been used once. So another thing is that once you go with the offset is the erase option and the layer option. So probably the layer option we may not go with right now, because we haven't learned the layer. So if when we'll be doing a layer option, we'll be talking about but here it is basically enter layer option for the current layer or the source layer. We'll be talking about the matching it, so let's not worry about it right now in which layer it will go, right, because we haven't yet learned about it. So let's leave this option as erase. So layer is basically if you want to put the object into a different layer after offsetting, you can use the layer option. But now here we will be learning about the erase option. So in the erase option, what is happening is, once you can see that it says erase source object after offset. That means the source object is the object that you select. So if you say yes, what will happen? The moment you have, let's say I'm taking the through option, you are offsetting the object, the source object will be erased. It is very helpful when you are enlarging an object or reducing the object and removing the source object. So here it is, right? It is using as a move tool in the line one. It is using as a scaled option in case of a circle, scale option in terms of in a rectangle or a polygon, and scale again it is reducing. So it can be used as a very helpful tool sometimes in the drawing application when you have an erase option. So then now when you offset it, now you need to change the settings. So you go for erase, say no. Okay, so let's go to through, and here we go and finish the offset. So there are a lot of system variables that we can discuss about offset, but let's not put it at this moment of time. So let's go with the illustration first. If we have missed something, so we can take it down here itself and moving to the next command, which is the scaling option. Then we will go for scale and rotate option, right? So here we have, so you have the erase option, you have the layer option, you have the through option, and you have the distance option. Now rotating an object. Now let me take it down like this. So let us create an object first to rotate. So I'm creating an let's say E section at the rate, let's say 3, 0 at the rate 0, 1. Not an E, I'll create an L right now because E will take time. Minus 2, 0 I will take at the rate 0, 3 at the rate minus 1, 0 and C for close. Now let's take this object, understand the rotate command. Now for the rotate, you can see again, you have to find it out from the icons over here. So this is a rotate icon and it's a rotate around a base point. So you have the rotate around a base point, and here we in the modify, not draw tool. So you have this in the modify menu, this is a rotate. Now here what is happening is we are rotating an object in a single point. So in AutoCAD, the rotate tool is a 2D rotate tool. We have a 3D rotate tool also, which you are selecting a point like this and rotating at an angle. Anti-clockwise is positive. Definitely that's a default convention. You can make clockwise positive also when you set up in the unit. So need not worry about it, but by default the anti-clockwise is positive. So now let's take an example here, right? So we have two examples, by reference and by rotation of object with an angle. So there are different illustration over here at an angle of 50 degree, at an angle of minus 50, and you can see there are a lot of illustrations are there. So let's take this L as one of the illustration that we can learn to use rotate. So RO is the rotate. Select the object. So it's conventionally like it says about the base point. So I told you that if you want to rotate an object, you have to rotate from a base point. So the best base point is this corner point over here. So I click it again with the object snap on. So I click it over here. So let's talk about the rotation angle. Now you can see you're just putting the ortho off from here. So there is a copy option, there is a reference option. So what I did with the ortho off, we'll be talking about it, because when it is the ortho on, it is basically giving you a constraint at 90 degrees. So we'll talk about it. So now what is happening is, so rotation angle. So if I rotate it at an angle of, let's say, 45 degree from this point, so it is going anti-clockwise. So for reference, let us have a line over here. So that is a line, let's say, in the x-axis, line in the negative x-axis, the y we have already done, and let's do it like this. So to give you a better understanding how the rotation is there. So you have a rotate command, select the object, and here we have base point, and here we give the angle of 45 degree. So the object is rotated from this point at an angle of 45 degree. Let us check the angle. See, it is at the 45. Further, if you want to rotate it, let's say, so if you go with the rotate command and I select it, further I want to rotate it, let's say base point is this, and further I want to rotate it at an angle of 45 degree. So it will be now in the 90 degree. Further, if I want to rotate it at an angle of 45 degree, again it will be 135 degree. So it will keep on rotating in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is a very simple application of rotating an object at a particular point. The next is basically rotating. So there are options over here. So you can rotate an object, you can copy while rotating. So very interesting tool. So you go with the copy command, and so you say C for copy. Now rotation angle, let's say you have 45 degree. So you can see that a copy is there, and you can have the rotation again. Let's say select the object that you want to rotate. So I selected this all these lines over here, and now I go with selection and copy option. Now again I say 45 degree. Series of copies will be made of the rotated object, right? So this is how you can basically use it in an polar array, radial array. We will be talking about what is a radial array is. So let me have a rectangle here now. Let's say I have a rectangle at the rate 3,5. So I go for a rotate command. I select the object, click this point, copy it, right, and copy at an angle of 90 degree. Now you can see that so it is not copied, because you have to be very careful regarding this. So you have to go with the base point, and then you can put C over here to make sure that it is copied. The moment you click it, yeah, it's rotating a copy of the selected object. It is going. So you need to check it if it is invoked or not. So now come to the point. So rotation angle is, let's say I put it as 90 degrees. So it is copied at an angle of 90 degree. Right. So these are reference lines that I have made in order to make you understand how it works. So let's come to the L now. So now let's put it like this. So let me rotate it and rotate this in let's say 25 degree. So now you see that the base, this line is having the angle of 25 degree. Now in a particular application, I go to my client, and my client says that, okay, this angle 25 degree, you have to make it 30 degree. So you have a reference angle as 25 degree of this object, and you want to change it to 30 degree. So how you can do it? Either you rotate it by 5 degree, or you can use an option which has AutoCAD given you, which is a reference option. So now let's say I select the object, I go for the base point, and there's a reference option. Now here the reference angle is 25 degree of this object. So this 25 degree angle, I want to make it as 30 degree, and the rest of the object will rotate accordingly. So let's do it like this. The reference angle is 25 degree and the new angle is 30 degree. Now you see that very interestingly it becomes 30. Now again rotate. Now this 30 degree angle will now become 45 degree. So base point is this and reference angle is, let's say, 30 degree, and you want to make this at 45 degree. So it will keep on changing based on your command. So this is how the rotate works. Okay. So let's go to the next series of discussion where we talk about the scaling object. So this is also a very interesting phenomenon. Scaling means of the object increasing or decreasing the size, right? So we have scale factor, or we can scale it by a reference. So I use this tool for converting objects from one unit to the other. So we'll discuss about how we do it. But here scaling is basically reducing the size, overall size, by a factor, or increasing the size by a particular factor. For example, so here we have the icon of scale here, and here we have the icon of scale. So this icon is, the tool is at the modify panel in the home tab, and here in the modify toolbar we are having the scale over here, and in the modify menu we have the so right tool here. So now let's put it like this. I create a rectangle which is a share size, let's say 10,5. So let me give a dimension to it first, because you will understand once we have the dimension. So I go with the dimension linear. This is only for illustration. So this is a 10 unit and this is 5 unit. Now let's see how it works. Now I go with the scale command. I can type SC in the command panel. So scale object is there. So I select this object. Now again it asks about the base point. So here again I'm taking the base point over here. So now you can see you can scale it up from this point. The scaling is happening from this point. So the size is decreasing or increasing from this particular point. So it can be at the center also, but I have taken this point as the scale base point. Now the scale factor. So if I say scale factor is 2, that means the object will increase twice in length and width from this particular point. Now you can see it becomes 20 and the length becomes 10. Now let's undo it and get it. So now let's say I want to reduce it, the scale factor. I want to make it half. So I take the base point and SC is the command. SC is the command, sorry. So I take the base point here and the scale factor is, let's say, 0.5. So it is reduced to half. So it becomes 5 and 2.5. So again, SC is the command. I take this rectangle. I want to increase it 3 times. So scale factor 3. So it increases 7.5 and 15. Now there is an option of copying it also. So I have the scale option here, and I have the base point here, and let's say I take a copy option. Now keeping the original object. So again, I can create a copy of the object and scale it up or scale it down. For example, I select the object, I take the base point, I take the copy of the object, and let's say I have a scale factor of 0.5. Now this smaller rectangle is created, which is half of it, like 3.75 in length and 7.5 in width here. So similarly, I can have a scale, select this object. I can also create, let's say, with a base point, and here we have the scale factor, let's say 0.5. So now it is reduced. Now if I want to create a copy of it, I have a scale. So I can create a base point here. I can create a copy of it, and I say I created twice of it. So I took a wrong base point, so you have to be very careful about what base point you are taking. So I need to take this as the base point, this corner point, and I go for a copy, and then I have the scale factor twice, right? So this is how basically you can use a copy tool to create a subsequent scaled object, keeping the source object there itself, right? So let us make it some more interesting, right? So the interesting point is, let's say I give you one option. Let's say this is a width which is a 15 units and 7.5. Let's say if I want to scale down this rectangle such that I want to make this width into 3. So what would be the scale factor in this case? 15 becomes 3. The scale factor would be 1/5, 0.2. So I don't want to put the scale factor. I want to put a length, the reference length and the new length. Then the other length will be automatically scaled. So it happens a lot of time that you are scaling an elevation, you are scaling a plan or scaling a section. It always happens in a drawing. So and with the reference length, I'll tell you how. Let's say for example, here you have this SC scale, and here you go with the base point here, and you take a reference. So the reference length here is 15 that you want to scale down to 7.5, or let's say 5 units. So automatically this will be scaled as per the scale factor that is calculated. So the reference length is 15 units, and the new length, so we have a point option over here. I don't want to put it there. So the new length is let's say 3 units. So the 15 becomes 3, and other dimension is scaled down in the proportion in which the width has been scaled down. So let us take it again. Let's say the reference length is 7.5, and the new I want to make 7.5 to 3.75. That means the factor is 2. That means half. So obviously the 15 will become 7.5. Let's have a check. So if we go for a scale option, and we go for a base point here, there's a reference over here, and the reference length is now 7.5. I want to scale it down to 3.75, So this has become, and you can see it's scaled down. So you can take the base point from anywhere. So if you select an object and if you take the base point at this point, obviously the scaling option will happen from that particular point. So it's a reference is, let's say, 7.5 in this case, and the new length is 3. So you can see that scaling is done from the point that you have selected. So here again, let's say you have a line length like this. You want to increase the length 1.5 to this particular point. You don't know what is the length, so automatically this will be scaled as per the scale up. It happens, this length happens, so it will be scaled. So there's an option called points. So if you select this object, a base point reference, so if you have the reference length, let's say as 1.5, and you want to have the points option, that means you can stretch it down to a point where you want the length to be, let's say. So you can see that you don't know the length, it was 4.685. So automatically this object, this width will scaled up with the factor in which it has increased. Okay, so this is all about the scale and the various options of scale. So let's see the illustration, whether we have covered the points that we wanted to do.